On today's show, Carl Fisher talks to us about how we can avoid paying taxes by using our self-directed retirement accounts to invest in real estate and other alternative assets. So let's get right down to business. This is your host of the show, Joe Robert. Carl is one of the founders and principals of CAMA Self-Directed IRA, headquartered in Ambler, PA. Carl has implemented plans and managed over $20 million in real estate and transactions. His real estate investments include commercial and residential properties, including real property, notes, and mortgages. He has been able to increase his personal net worth and control many endeavors with the self-directed tools available. And he's going to tell us how we can do that too. Carl, please start with giving us some background about yourself and how you started CAMA Plan.
Hey, Joe, thanks for inviting me to this interview today. And I was just trying to figure out, I think it's been almost a decade since we met, maybe longer.
Yeah, it's all about,
Yep. Yeah, and I'm glad you've learned from us, and I know you've taken a lot of it to heart, and it's helped you out. So I do appreciate you inviting me here. Yeah, we started CAMA Plan back in 2003, my sister and I, because we were investors and we saw how helpful it was to us, building our wealth. And it was basically a tool for the very rich, and nobody knew about it back in the days. Yeah, so my dad died, as I was saying. My dad died, and he died land rich and cash poor. We needed to make some payments, so I had to go out and finance some properties. And lo and behold, the guy that financed the property had a self-directed IRA. And at the time, I thought it was neat, but I was dealing with other things. So I got my dad's estate under control and figured it out. And I went back to the guy and asked him if he would make this a long-term note. He said no. So I went to the bank and refinanced out of it and paid him back. And when I asked him why he wouldn't make it a note, he said, I make 12% as a minimum, and that's what I charged you. And normally I'm making 18% on my money. So I don't, I'm not going down to 6 or 7% as you suggested. And I said, all right. And I said, well, don't you have to get the money out on the street again? And he says, there's a lot more people borrowing money than lending it. So that doesn't take me any time. Then I asked him, I said, well, what about foreclosures? Aren't you worried about that? You know that mine's a clean deal. He says, no, I'm not worried about it. And in fact, I wanted to foreclose on you. And so I started thinking about it, and it, changed my mindset a little bit. I always thought foreclosures would be bad, but, he made me understand that a foreclosure would have been good, and he would have made a lot more money, especially on this property, because it was like 30% loan to value. So I thought about it, and then I said, well, I'm going to get into these self-directed IRAs. I was, paying taxes. I was working. I had a lot of breaks at that time because I still had young kids and mortgages and things like that. But every year it was tacking up, and I had to buy another property to do it. And then I had to work all of the taxes, et cetera, and play the appropriate strategies to lower my taxes. I found this out. I looked at it, investigated it, and saw that it was a great wealth building tool. I thought it was too good to be true. It took me about 2 years to validate it because there wasn't any books on it or anything like that. And I started working with a lot of friends and family on it. And my sister and I ended up starting CAMA Plan because a lot of people asked us to, because they trusted us, and we were transparent and we were helping them. So they said, hey, we want a company, built by investors, for investors. And we said, well, who's better at it than us? We are investors, we've been investors, and we've seen it from both sides now. So we started it, and my sister did a lot of the software associated with the company. And I was pushed into the sales, which was actually harder than what I thought. Because a lot of it meant we had to educate people on it because nobody had heard about it. So we were one of the pioneers, I think, that did a lot of the education. As you said, we helped you figure it out.
Yeah. I mean, I guess at that point in time, did you guys have anyone that guide you in what direction to go, or how did you know just all the legalities of getting the company rolling?
Well, we started, when I started it, I went to Cornell University, and when I heard about the gentleman that I borrowed money from in their IRA, I went back to Cornell, to their library, tried to find information out. I went to the IRS, tried to find information out. All I got was glimpses of a little bit of information. This was back in 1994 and 95. But then the internet came out, and I started finding a little bit more. And then I went around the country visiting people who knew about it, and figured out how it worked. And then we hooked up with another company, Entrust Group, in 2004, and basically became an affiliate and started with them, because we were looking to set up our own company based on where we had it, and we partnered with them, and that's how we basically got started. And we went national back in 2010 after we left the Entrust Group.
Gotcha. And for those that may not be familiar, what is the purpose of CAMA Plan?
Basically, what I call it is we help people get true diversification with their qualified plans and help them do wealth building. And primarily our clients invest in real estate, notes and mortgages, precious metals, and some private placements. So they have the true diversification of their funds versus if you go to Fidelity or Vanguard or one of the big brokerage houses. Even if they tell you you have a self-directed IRA, you can only self-direct that in what they offer. We don't sell any investments. So basically you have to find your own. And if it's anything besides life insurance policies or collectibles, you can basically invest in them.
So basically anybody who wants to take control of their own retirement money and direct it into whatever investments that qualify, they're going to want to set up an account with you?
Absolutely. That's the main thing. If they know it and they understand it and their expertise is in that field, then yeah, why shouldn't they make money off of it? And why shouldn't it be tax deferred or tax free?
Got it.
So we help them do that.
And what areas?
Thanks for that question.
What areas do you service? The whole U.S. or where do you have clients?
We service the whole United States. We've got clients in all 50 states. We have some military overseas and some people that are in different countries, but obviously the majority of our clients are in the 50 U.S. states.
Got it. And so let's get into the importance of saving taxes. How much taxes can, these accounts save people over a lifetime?
That's a great question. And what I always tell people is it's not how much you make, but what you get to keep. Mm-hmm. And the U.S. has a graduated tax scale, or basically tax brackets. Everybody knows of them. And the more you make, the more they take. And that's with, what I call the four types of money. One is, the W-2 or the 1099 income, which they take Social Security and Medicare. They take state, if you're in a state income tax. They take federal taxes from it, and Social Security and Medicare, if I didn't, already say that. So you have all of those taxes, and most people don't understand that's there because people break it up. Oh, this is the federal tax. This is the state tax. This is the Social Security and Medicare. But when you put it all together, I would say most people are paying 30 to 40%, especially if you count what your employer is putting in with you. It could be even more. If you're in California, you can add another 13% to that probably. So that's kind of the first type of money. Then of course, everybody knows about passive income. That's interest on a CD or interest on a loan or rent that comes in. royalties that come in on music or movies. And that's good because it basically saves you 15% from the Medicare and the Social Security tax. And then there's what we call tax deferred accounts, like the traditional IRAs and the traditional 401ks that are out there. And those are great because you get to not pay taxes on that money that you put in, and you get anything that it earns, you don't pay taxes on. It's all tax deferred. So you get to keep using all that quote taxed money that would be taken from you and the type 1 money. You get to use it to keep investing it. The bad thing about it is at some point in time, you're going to take that out, and the IRS will make you take it out if you wait. Now that's at 72 years old, but you'll have to pay taxes on it. And I don't like the fact that I don't know what the tax rate's going to be when that shows up. So I'm more in favor of the tax-free accounts, which I'm sure you've learned over the years working with me, such as the Roth IRA, the Roth 401k, the educational savings account. And by far my favorite is the health savings account, which is tax deductible when you make a contribution and tax-free when you take it out for medical expenses. There is no other account type that does that. I mean, the Roth, you pay the taxes going in, but everything you make from then on for the rest of your life and 10 years after you die is going to be tax-free. So to me, that's one of my favorites, and that's what I really think people should focus on. And I think they should put that into their list of things to do. If they don't already have a Roth IRA, consider it, look at it, talk to us if they need some help on it, talk to their accountants. We'll do conference calls with their accountants or their advisors, trying to show them, when is the best time to have these types of accounts.
How about just hitting on that health savings? I mean, how does someone, what can they apply those funds to?
Well, that's two questions, all right?
Yep.
I think, because I'm not sure what you mean, but one is you make a contribution as long as you're not on Medicare and you have earned income and you've got a high deductible health plan, you can make a contribution to those plans. I think they're the greatest. I've been with them. The smart people I know use them. But basically, once you make that contribution and you get your tax deduction, number one, you can take it out immediately if you need to. We don't recommend that. But if you needed it for heart surgery, or you needed it for eyeglasses, or you needed it for a massage, or you needed it for cough medicine or prescription drugs, there's a whole list, and they're very liberal on what they allow you to use that. Gas to get to the hospital, family members, eyeglasses, dentistry, all of those things you can use that money for. We like people, if they don't have emergencies, to keep that money and then invest it, right? Don't just leave it in an account that's making 0.1% or nothing that Vanguard and Fidelity or any of the other providers give it to you. Go out, put it in a piece of real estate, lend that money, buy a note, buy a discounted note, have that be paying interest every month, so that when you do have health costs, you can take that money out tax-free and spend it either today or over your lifetime. It doesn't matter. And the good thing is you don't lose it. If you don't use it, and if you do pay for your own medical expenses, keep a list of that. The reason you want to keep that list is because you can take that money out any year that you want and then attribute it to the costs over the last 5, 10, 15, 20 years if you want. So you can choose to take that out, or you can choose to let it grow, whichever your best economic decision and financial decision is. So it has a lot of capability to build wealth and protect your health.
That's great. And I guess Trump was able to lower the tax a little bit for everybody, but with all this stimulus going on. I mean, we keep saying at some point we do got to pay for it, right? So in theory, we're going to have higher tax rates, whether it's now or 10 or 20 years, but more than likely the tax rates will be higher at some point to pay for all this. What's your thoughts there?
Well, the tax rates I do think are going to go up, but America figures out ways to kick the can down the road probably better than any other country in the world. The other thing that I see is they've got the interest rates the lowest historically that they've ever been. The 10-year Treasury, I think, is at 0.6 today. My concern is that they're going to go and basically lower interest rates and possibly go negative like some of the rest of the world does. And if you go with negative interest rates, I think it hurts savers. But the other thing that it does is it's almost a synonym for debt forgiveness.
Yeah.
So right now you have to know that your dollar will not buy as much tomorrow as it does today because of the trillions of dollars they're putting out there. They're basically diluting the dollar as we sit and talk here today.
Yeah.
And that's, just easy basic economics that I think grade school people could understand. The more money you print, the less valuable it is.
And so how can people utilize these retirement accounts for family legacy or leaving behind for inheritance purposes?
That's a great question. And I'm going to answer it in a minute because a lot of people do it. But the law changed in 12/31 of 2019 that where you were able to pass your Roth IRA down to your heirs, and you could almost get a century out of that. They called that the stretch IRA.
Mm-hmm.
And you could pass it to your kids or even your grandkids. And let's say I've had my IRA since I was, my Roth IRA since 2000. So it's already 20 years old. And if I live for another 20 years, I'll have it for 40 years, and then give it to my grandkids who will then be in their 20s years old, and they have it for another 60 years. You can see it's easy for a century. And that's what I was hoping to do for building a legacy and using it for education with the educational savings accounts, et cetera. But the Roth IRA law changed with the traditional IRA that 10 years after I die, my kids or grandkids have to take whatever money's in that account, and it will no longer grow tax-free for them. So they'll be able to use it for 10 years, but not for their lifetime. So I'm out looking at different things like charitable remainder trusts and different ways to provide that tax-free. You're talking about how are they going to pay the taxes. If you look today's, the death tax or estate tax is $11 million, almost $12 million.
Per couple, right?
Well, it's 23 million per couple, 11.5 per person. So 23 million per couple, but guess what? It can go back to 600,000 or 6 million, with the stroke of a pen, right? And it's not that funny because, since I've been alive, there's only been 1 year where there wasn't any estate tax, and I thought about dying that year, but I didn't like that option.
Do you think like the stretch IRA would ever be reenacted or brought back, or do you think that's going to be a pretty permanent thing, or do you think another party or somebody may try to revoke that?
No, I doubt it, just because it passed the Congress. Only 3 of the congressmen voted against it, and not many of the senators did either. But I don't think they really understood it. Most people don't understand the power of the Roth IRA. If you go to a bank and and they're looking to give you a loan, and you tell them you have a retirement fund, here's what you've got in them, you get no extra credit for having it in a Roth IRA. although that Roth IRA in most cases is 20, 30, 40, 50% more valuable than a traditional IRA. So I don't think a lot of people understood it. It was, basically for the people that take the time to do that study and the very wealthy who were able to get into the Roth IRAs fairly easily after 2010. So I doubt it'll be turned around, but something else might happen that they put in its place. But I doubt it. I think, somebody's going to have to pay those taxes.
Yeah.
And taken away from a guy that's been dead for 10 years is a lot different than taking it away from somebody who's alive. So I just think it's that way. And then, my grandkids will go, oh, that's just the way it is, As you can see, the difference in medicine today, well, maybe you can't, you're still young, you and your wife and then your kids, you got a long time to get there, but it's definitely different from when I was a kid and you could talk to your doctor and get your prescriptions and set up your appointments without going through a bean counter at the insurance company.
All right. Well, let's get into the account types, right? What are the different account types that you could set up as a self-directed account?
Well, we talked a little bit about it, right? There's the traditional and the Roth, which I call our personal accounts, and they have contribution limits of $6,000 to $7,000 each. Also with that, if your kids are earning money, and have earned income, they can contribute up to 6,000 or 7,000. Well, 6,000 because obviously they're going to be young. And if you have a spouse, they can also have an account as long as you make earned income enough for them to put in there. So I like those two accounts. I think everybody should have those no matter what they're doing, as long as they have earned income. The next one is what I call the SEP or the simple IRA, and those are for businesses.
Mm-hmm.
The SEP IRA lets you take, depending on your age, $50 or $55 or $60,000 and put it aside with between you and your company. And the SEP or the simple IRA lets you put less than 20,000 depending on your company and how much you're matching, et cetera. So those those accounts I think are good. I think everybody should try to have those if possible. Have your personal one, then have one with your company. Obviously everybody knows the 401k, but not everybody understands that the 401k can have both a Roth component and a traditional component, pre-tax and post-tax. So if you've got a business, think about that. Again, those can put in 55 to 60,000 depending on how much you're making. We use it at CAMA Plan. We like it. We want our employees to have them. So we have 401k. And then there's defined benefit plans that are out there that you can get up to $250,000 in. A lot of people call them qualified retirement plans. And it's a 401k with a qualified retirement plan or a defined benefit plan added to it. So those are good. And then my favorite, which we talked about, was the health savings account, where if you have a high deductible health plan, you should definitely look into this. If you're paying your own insurance, it's a no-brainer to go get these because your premiums go down. Most businesses I know of are using them as well. The smart people have them for themselves, and they're passing them along to their employees. And then one of my other ones that are out there is what's called the Coverdell Education Savings Account, which allows you to put $2,000 in every year for each kid. And all of these accounts that I'm talking about, can invest in real estate, can invest in notes and mortgages, which you know a lot about, can invest in private REITs, private companies, limited partnerships, et cetera, and precious metals. We've even had some people invest in llamas and sports tickets and things like that, and personal property. So there's a lot that can be done with these types of accounts.
So on the traditional accounts, typically who's a match for that, or what are some certain income levels? How does somebody know that that's the route for them to go?
Well, the way I'd like to answer that, Joe, is I'd like to compare the Roth to the traditional. Okay. And the Roth, I usually have, I've been using this for a lot of years, is you pay the tax on the seeds and not on the crops. And what you're bringing up is, when do I have a traditional and when do I have a Roth? As an example, when your kids are 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, whatever, and they can actually do work and you can pay them $6,000, they have an exemption from federal tax up to $12,000 now. So they'll actually pay no tax. So if you're a young kid or even a kid in college, your tax rate is so low, I would definitely tell you to put that money in a Roth. Once you get out of college, you get married, you have some kids, you have a house, you got a lot of deductions, your tax rate is low still, I would think at that point, I suggest people put their money in a Roth, because all that money is generating, everything it generates is tax free. And guess what? Anything you put into it is just like a savings account, and you can take that money out anytime you need it, even if you're not 59 and a half in a Roth IRA. There's no tax, there's no penalty, nothing. So I'm biased towards a Roth IRA, and I'm going to tell you, it's almost always best to do that. Now, that said, the tax accountants are always saying, take the break, take the break, take the break, pay the taxes, at the latest that you can.
Yeah.
Always defer. So if you're somebody, let's say in your 50s, your kids are out of the house, you have your house paid off, you're making a lot of money. Now maybe you want to put that in a traditional account so that you can save the taxes now, and it's a significant amount because your deductions are down. Your kids are off your payroll, and you're not paying much interest, and you're making a big salary. So at that point, yeah, maybe that's the time to have a traditional account, especially if you're going to leave your company, drop your salary, and then at that point, I'd say start converting your traditional to a Roth before you need it. Because the other side is, after you die, nobody can convert that to a Roth. So I've even talked to some of our clients about that. Whose tax rate's going to be more when you pass, yours or your kids? If your kids are going to be less than you, then yeah, maybe leave it in the traditional and they can pay the tax on it. But if your kids are now making more money and you're in a better position, pay the tax now. Even ask the kids to pay it for you, because ultimately it's going to be their money. So it's just, I can't give you a solid answer for every person, but one of the things that's out there is, in my generation, the baby boomers, a lot of them have kids moving back into them, and a lot of them are taking care of their parents, who don't have big retirement plans and IRAs and 401ks. So the baby boomers are getting hit from both sides, and their main thought process should be, hey, I've got to make sure that I've got enough money, because I don't want to become a burden to my kids going forward. So people have asked me, should I spend my money on my kids' education? I said, no, take a loan on the education. Make sure you've got your retirement taken care of, because you don't want your kids having to do that. You can always work and pay off their student loans, and it's
at this point, there's a higher probability the government might wipe some loans for people, right?
Yeah, for student loans. Yeah, you never know, but education is definitely very important, and I don't want to do it, but I would say get a loan for that versus get a loan for your retirement plan. Make sure you're good. That's the first thing. Then you can help others.
So what is, for the people that don't have account there and they have accounts sitting at Vanguard, Fidelity, or any of these where, it's managed by an institution, how, what does that process typically look like to be able to get started with you?
That's real simple. You go to camaplan.com, and obviously that's a great question for us, Joe. You go to camaplan.com. Right on the first page, you can look at it at our site. You can look a lot about us. We have a due diligence page under Why CAMA Plan. You'll see a lot of education there. But to answer your question simply is go up to where it says open an account. It's a green tab on the upper right-hand corner of the screen. Click on that. You can do it the old-fashioned way with paper, or you can do it right online. And then you can transfer money, and we'll go out to Vanguard or Fidelity or where your brokerage house is and get that transfer. And you can transfer all of it, or you can transfer some of it. And I always, when I first got into it, it sounded too good to be true, as I told you. So I transferred over a little bit of money and tried it on a couple of deals and found out how good it was. And I took all my money out of the market and put it under my control. And I've never looked back since. I want to have that money. I want my money working as hard for me as I work for money.
So when it comes to investments, is there any restrictions to the traditional and the Roth IRA accounts?
Well, there's no restriction between the two. Any restrictions that are out there are identified by the IRS, and we talked about that. The IRAs, no matter what type it is, can't invest in life insurance, whether it's yours or somebody else's. Now, there are people who invest in limited liability companies that buy life insurance policies, and that looks like it's a loophole in the tax, and the IRS has not gone after any of them, and has actually come out in some fashion and said that it was okay. But the things like collectibles, like stamps, cars, butterflies, coins, those things cannot be bought in your IRA.
Got it.
Numismatic coins, some of the precious metals can be in coins, but they, call our office and we'll give you a list of them, or check with the IRS publication and you'll find them. All
right. And now getting into the a solo 401k, right? Who is that? What is the person that account's good for?
Well, number one, you need to have a business. If you have a business where you have earned income, then a solo 401k, which we talked about a little bit earlier, it's equivalent to a SEP primarily, except it has a couple of better features in it, I think, than a SEP, and I would choose the solo 401k to use over a SEP in most cases. One of the reasons I do that is because the first $18,000 of salary you make, if that's all you make, you can defer all of that into the 401k, and you can get the same amount into it. So if you have your own business, you don't have any employees, and you don't expect to have any employees, you'd be a candidate for the solo 401k. Now, once you're a candidate for the solo 401k, you have two choices. One is to do the whole thing yourself, which we provide the paperwork for you for $300 a year. And basically you open up your own company 401k checking account, and you write the checks, and you keep everything that the 401k plan buys in a separate account and bookkeep very well. And that's all it costs you, is $300 a year. The other way is for us to do the bookkeeping. You don't have a bank account. You still sign all of the papers. But we basically use CAMA Plan as the holding company, and we go through the paperwork and process it for you and file it and do basically the bookkeeping for the plan. Some people that are good for bookkeeping can do it on their own. Others that aren't good at bookkeeping, I would say, pay us to do that.
Yeah, most small business entrepreneurs that I've seen are not good at bookkeeping, not good at keeping that organized. So it's probably best to pay you, correct?
Yeah, I mean, or your bookkeeper, or we've seen people use their accountants for it. But then you're responsible to make sure you don't have any prohibited transactions. You're also responsible for the 5,500, which is the tax return for the 401k and any other administrator stuff.
All right. We have a question from David Gunnan. He has a small LLC. He opened a SEP in 2019. His question is in reference to something he said earlier. Can I have a personal account and a business one open to save more?
Yes, you can definitely have a SEP account, which your business contributes to, and you can have a personal account, like I talked to, the traditional or Roth account, with your SEP. So yes, you can put, as an example, let's say you put 55,000 in your SEP. You could still put, another 6,000 into your traditional IRA as well.
Okay. And another question I've seen, let's say I'm a self-employed entrepreneur. I have earned income, no employees in the US, but I have remote VA contractors in the Philippines. Do I still qualify for the solo 401k?
Well, you're talking contractors, 1099s.
Yep.
If it's 1099s, you're not W-2 employees, you're not paying Social Security and Medicare. So the answer is yes, you would still apply for that.
All right. And then when it comes to the solo 401k, how does that work with investing in real estate and utilizing debt and non-recourse?
All right. If you have a solo 401k, if you invested in real estate, it's going to be in the name of your 401k. Joe Roberts' company 401k will be the vested interest in there. You still cannot sign on the note personally. It has to be a non-recourse loan. If you have a non-recourse loan in a 401k, in most instances, it is you don't pay unrelated business income tax, or what they call unrelated debt financed income in that. If that you would pay in an IRA. If you have it in an IRA and you're buying Section 8 properties, you don't pay the UDFI either. But if you're buying just regular rental property or a commercial building or something like that, you'd have to pay what they call unrelated debt financed income, which can get pretty heavy at times. But if you're making a lot of money, it's not there. Or if you're in the top tax bracket, it's not that much bigger of a deal. But if you have the choice, I would go with the 401k.
For especially for real estate related.
Yeah, especially for real estate related, over the SEP.
Got it.
But you still can't buy a business in there. I mean, if you buy a business in your 401k, you're still going to pay the unrelated business income tax. If I went out and bought a Rita's Ice, I did that. But if I went out and bought a commercial building and put a note on it, I wouldn't do it. But again, it still has to be non-recourse.
Now, it's been some years, but I believe back when we had the office, we had a self-directed company 401k. Does that sound right?
Yep.
Because we had one with you, and that was back in like 12 or 13. So it's been a while. And can you tell us a little bit more information about that for those that maybe have small offices or want to have control of where their retirement money is going?
Well, I think at that point in time, there was, 2 or 3 partners in your company.
Yeah.
They were all owners of the company, and you had a company plan. And basically, even though it was called a solo, and this goes for husband and wife also, but if you're all partners, you can still have a solo company plan. And there's two ways of doing it, right? You can have each individual person's contributions booked separately, or you can keep it all into one plan, and then the managers of that business or whoever you put in charge of investing it would do it, and everything would be just in one plan. And doing that, all the partners would be invested in all of the investments versus Joe picking this one, Joe's wife picking another one,
Got it.
and Joe's other partner picking C.
Okay.
If that makes sense to you. I mean, there's a lot of options, and you should really talk to people and talk to your advisors, and maybe have a conference call with us on there as what's the best way to do it. And everybody does it differently, and there isn't any right answer.
And from a asset protection, is there any recommendation or your own opinion, we'll call it, of which one you like best?
Well, IRAs are a little bit better than solo 401ks. Both are great. The reason solo 401ks don't fall under ERISA laws, but there are a lot of federal and state laws that protect IRAs. If you have employees, you can still self-direct with employees if the boss puts an amendment in there to do it. It just is, it's a little more expensive because there's testing, et cetera, and it is ERISA protected. But I think all of those plans are good from an asset protection standpoint. Once you have over a million or two, depending on what state you're in, you could get into a question of living standards, and how much of that is there. But so far I haven't seen anybody take that up in court. So I love the IRAs, and as I said before, if you have a savings account, turn it into a Roth IRA, because you can take that money out, and if it's in a Roth IRA, it's not going to be taken by the lawyers or by the creditors, whereas if you had a savings account, it would be. So you basically get free asset protection by putting your savings accounts into Roth IRAs.
That's good, right?
Same capability. Yeah. I mean, I think it's great.
Where does somebody go to get legal advice in regards to how they're going to set up accounts or certain deals they're going to do?
Well, obviously, I would start out with your estate planner or your attorney. A lot of people start out with their accountants. But again, accountants are good for accounting and financial matters. I think you want an attorney for legal matters and asset protection. Your accountant is not going to support you in court or represent you in court when you get sued. You'll have to have an attorney for that. So there's a lot of attorneys out there. I mean, Wayne Kerr is in the Jersey area. Jeff Watson's up in Ohio area. John Heyer is down in Puerto Rico. Yeah. So there's guys all over the place. There's books on it. We may even have a couple of webinars on our site for it. But again, get your trusted advisors, and everybody's using Zoom or StreamYard. I'll give them for what you're doing. So I think you can set these meetings up because they're getting better and better. That's one thing I've seen come out of this pandemic. So you can grab people on here and pay people, for a half hour of their time to, or an hour of their time to discuss what they think is best from you. Because I think you want all of those people in there, because there's tax questions, asset protection questions, different types of account fees, et cetera, associated with it. Get them all together and see what they come up with for your comprehensive plan.
Yeah, does
that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And I used Wayne Kerr last year to do a few things for me in regards to the retirement accounts, and it worked out very well. So, appreciate that. Where, as people are going through their journey, what is the best way for them to get more information or get further education?
Well, of course, go to camaplan.com and look at our go to our academy. But hey, in all seriousness, we do have a lot of good information there. Two, I think there's a couple of books out there on the subject. You can research it, you can read articles. But one of the things I always ask people is, check with our office, talk to us. We have probably one of the best educated staff in the country, and our service, I think, is second to none. So call in and ask, for any of those people to be in on the calls with your trusted advisors. We can't give advice, but we do teach a lot of accountants and attorneys, their continuing education when they want to know about self-direction. A lot of them come to us with those questions. But there are still some gray areas, but I always tell people, let's look at it, go into it one step at a time. This isn't something you have to jump into. Open one account, see how it works, see if it's for you, see if it's something you'll like. I think you did that when you first started, Joe, and you had a bunch of questions, and I think that advice was good 10 years ago.
Yeah. Are you holding virtual classes on a monthly basis now through CAMA Plan, or setting that up, or what are you guys doing right now?
We do have virtual classes, and we have videos that are recorded that you can look at anytime, 24/7 out there. We have 101 classes where, you can always, follow us on Facebook. I think we've got an Instagram page, we've got a YouTube channel. And I don't, I'm not that good at those, but the people that are in my office are making it better and better. And obviously I'm instilling my years of knowledge in real estate and using self-directed IRAs and trying to educate our clients and prospective clients. We want them to make good decisions and have the right data. And there's a lot of incomplete data out there on different things that people do, and then they come to us to help them fix a prohibited transaction. Sometimes we can, sometimes we can't.
And why do you think self-directed accounts or retirement accounts aren't taught more in detail, or even at all, going through the school system? Huh?
Yeah, I don't, I have my own theory on it, but let's face it, I think schools teach you to be good citizens and good employees.
Got it.
I'm not sure they teach you to be good entrepreneurs unless you pick it and you force your way through down that thing. And secondly, if you think about it, teachers are working for the government, right? They don't have the jobs. They're not entrepreneurs, so they're teaching from their own personal base. And I don't think it's intended to be harmful to you, because I love a lot of my teachers and I'm happy for what they taught me. And it's one of the reasons I'm where I am today. But I just don't think that they see that, right? I mean, teachers and firefighters, first responders in the real estate business, they get preferential treatment. And they get discounts, and there's advertisements for that. And mainly the landlords like it because they're hardly ever going to lose their job. They're in very stable jobs. They've learned to pay on time and work their way right down the system. But they haven't been trained to take risk and like an entrepreneur will. So it's one of those things. And I just don't think they teach the basics of tax in school. I mean, when I was, at an Ivy League college and I took economics, on some of the tests, they said disregard taxes. I just wish once the government would tell me, just one time, disregard taxes. Just 2020, you don't have to pay any taxes no matter what, right? It's never happened. So I just think it's not a priority out there. People are learning a skill. They're learning social skills. Do
you think it'll take teachers and maybe their pensions and certain things to blow up before more people at scale get, are more aware of these self-directed accounts and start making their own decisions instead of letting Wall Street manage all their money and take all the fees out?
I don't know. I mean, there's certain people, we obviously have more entrepreneurs that are doing what we're doing. We get a lot of, engineers, from the aerospace and from the big pharma people that have big 401ks and get laid off that want to have that control. So the answer to your question, I don't know what's gonna change it. I mean, they see their 401ks turn into 201ks, like they did, last month. You have these black swan pandemics and things like that. That can be a something that should wake them up to that extent to where they have control. And I think, one, you should have control over your health care, and two, over your finances. You shouldn't just leave it to somebody to take care of that. And if you don't believe me, talk to some doctors and dentists, because they've put their funds in there. They say, hey, I gotta keep abreast of all the new drugs and procedures and technologies in my field. I don't have time to manage my money. And then when it's time for them to take it, it's not where they thought it would be. So we get a lot of those in later life. And I would say the sooner you did this, the better off you do it. And by the way, you don't have to do it with all of it. Again, just try a little bit out of it. But for me, I don't think anybody watches your money better than you do.
Yep. Take a little bit out of it.
Vote on you all the time.
Yeah, take some out, put in another account, put in a self-directed account, then use your self-directed account and see if you could outpace Wall Street managing your money, right? And then once you
exactly, that's it.
And then once you see that you could do a better job, then you can move the rest over once you have that experience.
Yeah, and when you'll learn a whole new, you'll learn a whole new venue to operate in. Right. I mean, you've seen, I mean, nobody knew what discounted notes were, till 2009 and 10.
Yeah.
And I thought what you and Dave Van Horn were doing was crazy. And then I watched it over the years, and I'm amazed. You guys were great.
It was interesting. I mean, it was something that we never, I mean, look, I guess until about 10 years ago, I never really heard of these self-directed retirement accounts, discounted notes, or anything that I came into. And that was just really a lack of education out there. And so therefore, what are you seeing?
It's one of your mainstays now, right? You wouldn't do anything without them.
Yeah. I'm very focused on being tax efficient as best as possible.
Cool.
What are the types of investments are you seeing clients in 2020, moving their money to, maybe with COVID? What are people planning to do at these times?
Well, a lot of people are definitely getting ready. They're putting getting cash available. There's some that are going into life settlements. There are some that are looking at businesses, shares in businesses that may be folding as a result of COVID. There's the rehab lending has pretty much dried up from all the big rehab lenders. The banks are tightening their restrictions on people who were laid off, or business owners who had to close. I've seen some of those loans, even though they had commitments, were pulled back and said, hey, we don't think you can make your payment. So I do think there'll be a lot of lending that will be going on out there. I think that there will be different businesses, and I think there'll be new businesses and new products that'll come out of this environment. I don't know what they are yet, but everybody's keeping their ear to the ground and reviewing the data that's going on. I don't know. Were you on the call that CAMA sponsored with Dave Steck a week ago?
I think I seen one. And do you have two of them? I was on one maybe a couple weeks ago. The first one, maybe.
Yeah. So, and he's doing another class on getting people ready to be in the lending space because he thinks, the banks are inundated with the SBA loans right now, and that's fees that they're making up from not making other loans. So, I just think there's going to be opportunities, like you said in the beginning of our discussion. You're going to sit back and wait and see how long, how much, where, and when will things get back to the new normal.
How will people's investing habits change?
Well, I mean, you're going to have to, one, think of the time value of money. I mean, if you borrow money now, at a low interest rate for a long term, let's say a 30-year mortgage, just think how devalued that dollar is going to be and how much how much less you're going to be paying back as a result. So you can go out and get a long-term loan. I think you'll be looking really, really good paying that back with a low interest rate. I think savers, with CDs, is not going to make a difference in their life. I think we're in for a long haul. Not that I have a crystal ball that's any good, but I do think we're going to be in a long haul for low interest rates. I think that'll push inflation up. So I'm going to probably move to have assets instead of cash somewhere along these lines. And gold is very liquid, and you've seen how gold and precious metals have gone up, since January. Well, actually for the last year, but since January really popped it up there because everybody can see the dollar devaluing in front of their eyes.
So you think it's going to be important to take on debt at these low interest rates just to keep up with, the market and returns over the next decade?
Yeah, I think, think about negative interest. What's that going to do if you put, 100,000 in the bank and they give you 99,000 back? Wouldn't you rather put that in a piece of land that you might be able to sell for 110,000, or a piece of gold, or something out there, a rocking chair, whatever. But if it starts to go negative, there, when you look at what's happened overseas and those things, they've just bought properties in the United States just for the appreciation on the properties, even if they didn't rent them.
Yeah,
which has kept our real estate market high.
And that's kind of going into the good debt versus the bad debt, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I took out a lot of equity lines, and I pulled them at this point in time just because I didn't want the banks to get rid of them on me.
Just like they did back in 2000s where they stripped everybody's line of credit.
Exactly. So I not only took the credit, but I put it in a different spot so that they can't take it back.
That's good. And so what other, from this whole COVID thing, what other, positive things or, some good things that you see are going to come out on the other side when it comes to the investing marketplace?
Well, I think everything goes in cycles. We come from a long line of survivors, everybody that's here. We're going to have to adapt. I think it's too early to predict. We've got an election this year as well. And we don't know when and where this thing's going to stop and how it's going to affect things in the future. And will we have a different virus every year from now that we know it? Or is everybody going to be looking in October, oh, what's the virus flavor for this year? So I really can't answer that question, but I'll be glad to do another interview with you in 6 months.
Follow up to see what post COVID, or maybe we'll still be in some kind of lockdown for a second round, right?
Right, exactly. So I mean, just watch what you're doing. Look to buy smart things. Maybe now is the time to get back into the stock market. I never thought I'd put those words there. But I like real estate. I like tangible assets. Everybody still needs them. They got to go to church. They got to play. They got to stay. They got to eat. They got to sleep. They got to work. I think that, if I wasn't going to invest in certain things, I wouldn't invest in the big senior living facilities or nursing homes, right? I think that came out of this as one of the not so good places to work and not so good places to be if you're in this situation. Maybe those are going to turn into, modules of, 5 or 6 people or less than 10 people in a place, and you'll have more places. So I think you just want to look at some of the things that didn't fare well in this environment, and some of the things that will do better post COVID. And I'm still coming up with that list.
And what, in regards to just health, I know, a lot of people are worried moving forward and protecting their health. What is your thought there? And do you think people will come out of this and be more conscious of what they're doing on daily habits?
I do, and I think it's going to be a big boon for the concierge doctors like MD VIP and things like that, because I think people realize that they couldn't get a hold of their doctors too easily. Some of the doctors' offices closed. Some doctors were at the hospitals. Nobody really wanted to see their doctors because they didn't know if they were infected by somebody else. So I do think you'll have more online doctor, that pay the doctor as you go type of thing. That might be a good industry to get into. But I do think the whole healthcare industry is going to change a certain amount. The whole ventilator deal.
Yeah.
Basically the rest of the country seemed like they were buying ventilators for New York City because their residents didn't pay enough taxes, or their politicians didn't buy the machines and bought something else. I don't know if they're going to make illegal immigrants get vaccinations. There's so many things that are out there that are coming over the news, and I think each person presenting the news is trying to create a position to either, push the Democrats or the Republicans ahead. And I don't, and they're not reporting all the news. They're reporting what they want. And hate to say it, but there's a lot of fake news out there on both sides. And it makes it hard to understand what it is. But as time goes on, we'll see it. The truth will come out because there's too much social media for them to control everything.
Yeah. I'm sure, growing up, that has changed massively, right? I mean, just,
Oh yeah.
No one knows how to find out the real truth these days on anything, or where to get the right information, or how to get the, legal or the right curated info.
Well, it's definitely not on the mainstream media. It's not on the TV channels that are out there, right? You can start finding people and following people who are presenting facts, that don't have an agenda, a political agenda. And I think those are some of the better people to be following. But again, a lot of that is still in the government, and you don't know if it's being jimmied with before it's being presented. But people will retire, and the truth, generally will come out.
Well, I hope you stay safe and enjoy your stay down in Florida, and definitely would like to follow back up in about 6 months, continue the conversation, what's going on in the market, see where the opportunity is, right? And
That's absolutely.
And for anybody who wants to, take control of their investments and move into the tax-free realm, give us that info again, where they could find you.
Go to camaplan.com, CAMAPLAN.com, and we will be glad to help them. Check out our website, get a hold of an account executive, set up an appointment, either Zoom or on the phone. And if you can't get your answers from our great staff, then just tell them you want to talk to me, and we'll set up a special meeting.
Thank you, Carl, for coming
As always,
on.
Joe.
Thank you.
Yep.
And, everybody, thank you for joining us today. And also having Carl here tomorrow at 12:30, same time. We're going to have another special guest from Puerto Rico, Giovanni, and he's going to also discuss taxes and residing in the Caribbean. Thank you very much.
Love it. Thanks a lot, Joe.